Today on This Healing Feeling, I am truly delighted and feeling very, very blessed to be in the presence of Ashanna Solaris, who is a practitioner, trainer, co-founder, and pioneer of the profound practice of Clarity Breathwork, a gentle, nurturing, feminine approach to healing, transformation, and embodiment. She has led hundreds of trainings, workshops, and retreats around the world, helping students heal and transform. Since 1990, Ashanna has brought forth a wealth of experience and training in the healing arts, integrating breath work, light body meditation and transmission, Reiki and energy healing, somatic experience, ritual, dance and movement. Ashanna has a deep passion to inspire others to live their fullest potential and give their greatest offering. And as anyone who has been following or listening to my journey so far will know, I'm a huge fan of people taking patient responsibility and investigating things like breath work. But would you like to tell me a little bit about how you came to be involved in breathing and breath work, first of
Mm,
all? Your
sure, I
story.
would love to, and it's so good to be here with you, Lucinda, and your beautiful offering, and to all those listening, just a warm welcome into perhaps a safe and sacred healing space where even as we're sharing today, you can start to tap into this kind of inexhaustible healing wellspring that's available within you. And that is certainly what I discovered early on. I would say one of the most pivotal experiences for me, Lucinda, was getting trapped in a 13-mile cave when I was spelunking, when I was just maybe 20 years old. And it was spring equinox, and I really wanted to do a rebirthing ceremony, and I really didn't know what that meant at the time. But you know, I was into rituals, and it was spring, and it was time to rebirth. And so my friends invited me to go spelunking in this cave, and the cave really looked. We called it the vagina cave. It really looked like that, you know. And so we entered, and I thought, this is just amazing. I'm inside of Mother Earth. There were, you know, stalactites hanging down. There were these cold water crawls we had to crawl through. And we came to this small hole, which was a long 150-foot crawl back to a cave. And my friend said, "Do you want to go in?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is amazing." And I scrunched in, not very far, maybe 7 feet. And there was kind of a turn in the cave, and I got stuck. And I got completely stuck. And I said to my friends, "I'm stuck. I can't move forward or backward." And the walls just started closing in on me, and I couldn't breathe. And the next thing I knew, I was back in 1966 in New York City at NYU Hospital, watching my mother in labor with me. And I was terrified to come out, and I could see that a baby had died in that maternity ward, and my mother was terrified. We were both terrified, and they drugged my mother, and then that drug came into me, and I re-experienced the whole thing. They had to drag me out with forceps, and I didn't think I was going to make it at my birth, and here I was in the cave thinking, I'm going to die in here. I'm not going to get out. I'm not going to make it. And somehow the next thing I knew, I was back in the cave, and the cave opened up just enough. It was like the cave had a contraction. It opened up just enough that I could move forward. I could take off my outer layers, and I crawled all the way into this room covered with mud. And I remember feeling like, I don't know if I'm going to make it back out. And so I prayed to Mother Earth, and I put mud all over my body, and I asked to be reborn from Mother Earth out of our you know, that birth experience that I had, that was medically induced, that was drugged, that was forcepted, that felt unsafe to be here, and had been affecting me my whole life, in a fear of being fully alive, and a fear that I would be hurt, and that it wasn't safe. And luckily for me, I was able to crawl all the way back out while my friends spontaneously started singing to me, happy birthday. And I made it out of the cave. But that night, I remember sitting in a tub thinking, oh my God, did that really happen? And I called my mom and I asked her, and she said, my God, how do you remember all of that? And that was the beginning of really my journey as a healer. I was seeing a therapist at the time who was a hypnotherapist. And he said, well, you have birth trauma, and I'm going to regress you so that we can complete that. And he did regress me. I tasted the chemicals in my mouth. I felt the rage of that little infant's body at being hurt by the forceps and mishandled. I felt, how the drugs at my birth had made it so that every time I was moving forward in my life, I would start to, lose awareness of what I was doing, where I was going. I would recreate the feeling of being stuck and the fear that I wasn't going to make it. So absolutely, the birth material was incredible, and that led me to find Sandra Ray and rebirthing, which breath work in those days was called by Sandra Ray, and to begin to use this profound tool of breath to clear this early birth trauma, and then that led to clearing so much trauma that followed my birth trauma, from sexual abuse to parents divorcing to feeling like I was never worthy, I was never good enough. And breath work just opened the way for the truth of who we are as incredible beings to be able to come through. And gradually over time, Dana Dharmadevi and I developed a very safe and profound process called Clarity Breathwork, and have been able to help thousands of people process their early trauma imprints and access, out of our trauma comes our gift. Out of the difficulty that we go through, when we have the tools and the courage and the love and the presence to face it and go through it, we alchemize it into the gift that we're meant to bring here. And obviously my gift was to get to be on the forefront of an
Mm,
incredible healing modality, and to weave into that modality, all of the other things that you named in the bio, to, create this structure that can help people return home to the innate intelligence inside of us.
mm. Oh, incredible. Absolutely incredible. Thank you for sharing that story because,
Mhm.
it being that to be give that vulnerability is such a powerful thing to help others. And, only the other day, I was actually listening to a podcast where the lady's been interviewing someone who I think she's one of the oldest healer. Can't remember her name. Is one of the oldest healing ladies who exists, and she was saying how for so many years women were drugged massively for
Yeah.
childbirth, to the point
Yes.
that the forceps had to be used because they couldn't push.
They couldn't push. Yeah.
And now it's actually we are now becoming more aware of actually women taking more power back during pregnancy and the birthing process, going to the point of actually being in different positions to allow gravity to help. And
Squatting, the squatting position is so
yeah,
important. Mhm.
massively. I don't have children. I don't have a partner, but my goodness, the research I'm doing just in case.
It has a huge impact, the way that we are born. And I just want everybody to take that in, and to take a deep breath, because we're not always aware that when we are triggered, when we feel stuck, when that anxiety arises, that it could very well go all the way back to those first moments. And if our mother wasn't there, we feel abandoned. It's the baby goes through a psychological abandonment. And then often, because mom's drugged, because mom's got complications, baby is taken away right away and put in the isolette and separated. And that is perhaps, the teacher Joseph Chilton Pierce says, perhaps the greatest damage that was done is that we were taken away from our mothers, when what the baby most needs is to bond with the heartbeat of the mother. It brings on the mother's limbic brain. It brings on her compassion for that child. And if that doesn't happen, there can be a lot of interferences to our bonding. So no wonder we don't feel safe. We don't feel that we belong. We think there might be something wrong with us or that we're unlovable or unwanted. And so, if any of this happened to any of the listeners here, I just want you to know that you can bring healing
Mm.
and you can change this, what we call your birth script. You can change it into a much more positive, life affirming script so that you can be all the way here. You can be all the way alive in your life and bring your gifts. And not only bring your gifts, because we talk a lot about you've got to serve, you've got to bring your gifts, but the other side of it is to receive this incredible gift of life. And if we're afraid of it, if we're blocking it, then we don't receive what an incredible blessing it is to be alive, which I know, Lucinda, living close to the edge as you have from your illness, you are much more aware than the majority of people what a profound gift life is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And um before we started the interview, we were actually talking because I was aware of you quite a long time ago, when I first started my like, oh my goodness, I've got to heal myself. I've got to get out into the world. I've got to find the modalities and the practices that are going to actually help me somehow get my health back to where I'd like it to be. And what attracted me to what you and Dana were doing was the fact that you were helping so many people. You would be able to do it online. I think you were also doing it in person. Is that correct? You still
Yeah,
running?
we do both in person and
Yeah.
online. Yeah.
Amazing. And I think in a world where there are many, many options, you often have to sort of say, well, who do I feel that I resonate with? Who do I feel drawn to? And the energy that you both put out into the world, it's just blinding with so much
Oh,
positivity. It's gorgeous. Um, and
you.
so this birth script that we're born with, from what you're saying, it is something that we can change. It's actually something
Absolutely.
we can
Mhm.
actually so we can rewrite it. We can
Yes.
actually take control of what happened to us, and something that could be affecting us in many ways now with both emotional and physical health can actually be something that using the practices that you have, we can
Mhm.
actually take back power and go on this big
Absolutely.
journey.
Absolutely. Because one thing that Joseph Children Pierce shares in his film on, I think it's called Bonding, Pregnancy and Birth, something like that. It's on YouTube. It's available. Um, but he says that that interference at our birth, sets us up for this whole thing. But that if we can bring our awareness all the way back to it, the baby is the one that calls the shots. So if the birth team was aware and listening, um, the baby's actually directing the consciousness of that spirit is directing the entire birth,
Wow.
which is phenomenal. So if we can go back there, address what happened, breathe into it, forgive it, release it, let it go, we can get in touch with that innate intelligence that does want to direct our lives, that does know what it wants, that does know what's best for it. And then that can apply to all areas of our lives and including, illnesses that we may face in our bodies. Like we actually do know. And I want to add that Dr. Andrew Weil, who's really the pioneer of the integral medicine world, he has said that if he could give his patients one tool out of all Western allopathic medicine and all alternative, it would be breath work. Because once someone learns how to access their full capacity to breathe in life, that breath can inform us. Because like you said, there's so many options, there's so many teachers, there's so many healing modalities, there's so many, you know, Western practices that are helpful that we can do. But what is it? What is the shortest, path to the goal of vitality and health? That's what we want. And when we're connected and we're breathing and we're connected to our higher self and we're connected to Mother Earth, we're going to get there faster. We're going to see what it is. It's going to become very clear and obvious. And synchronicity is happening all the time. The universe is friendly. So when we are asking for a solution. Life is showing it to us, but we
Mm,
need to be conscious and aware, and know that we're worthy to have it, and that believe that we can to hear what it is and follow it.
yes. No, absolutely. And so would you say that it was through this experience that you had in the cave that you initially realized the connection between the breath work and healing, or was it sorry, just slightly later that you did?
First it was really just the birth experience, and that just blew my mind
Mhm,
that I could remember and that it had such a huge impact on me. And then it was, hypnotherapy and
mhm,
regression work. And I became a hypnotherapist. It was the first really healing modality because I thought this is incredible. And I actually became a past life regressionist because I think after my birth experience or somewhere around there, this was a pivotal time in my life where I was remembering. I remembered a past life experience where I died in Nazi Germany. And that had affected me my whole life. So I became a past life regressionist. That was, incredible. And then I realized we have so much material just right here in this life, in these bodies. And past lives, we can't be certain that they're even real. So then I just really got into let's heal, this life. And that brought me to a healing retreat, my first healing retreat called Healing the Inner Self, where they did all kinds of modalities. They did mirror work with Louise Hay, they did hypnotherapy, they did shamanic drumming, but it was during the breath work that they shared. This was in Northern California at Heartwood Institute. And I still remember laying on that floor breathing and suddenly becoming aware of my rage at my father and all of my childhood issues. And I thought at the time, this is the most powerful healing modality I will ever experience is this breath work. It is liberating. It's getting me in touch with my emotions. I'm a very emotional person. I heal through my emotions. And I was often told, like many of us were, to be nice, to behave, to go to my room, to not, sulk. um, and I really needed a safe space to feel everything because only by feeling can we truly heal? So breath work gave me that space to start to unpack through my body, through my breath, not through a trance state like hypnosis or shamanic drumming, but right here through the power of breath. So a few years later, when I met Sandra Ray, I was very dissociated, which a lot of people that had trauma, we like to kind of hang out. Reiki is perfect for us. Channeling angels is perfect. We love that. But coming into our bodies and feeling our pain, that's another story. So I was a light body teacher and I was a channel at this point. And I went to this retreat called, it was a Course in Miracles retreat and in Angel Fire, New Mexico. And there were all these channelers there, and they were all channeling these lofty things. And I was mad. I thought, I can't relate to any of this. I need something real. And it was then that Sandra Ray walked into the room, this 6 foot tall, red-headed woman. And she said, I want to talk to you, maybe 100 or more people about your guilt, your fear, your shame. And I just thought, okay, sign me up. And that night, I had another spontaneous rebirth in my boyfriend's arms, thank God, because he was a breath worker. So he knew all about it. I re experienced it all again. I went to Sandra the next day. I said, why don't you come to Maui? Um, I need to study with you. And she just looked at me and said, you're the one I've been waiting for. I'm coming to Maui. You're going to become a breath worker. And she did. And my whole life changed. And then I received an assignment. It was in a breathwork journey. Again, 100 people in a hotel here on Maui. And I was breathing. And this spiritual master, that's one thing, breathwork opens us up to other realms. And we are, without a doubt, multidimensional beings. And this year in particular, we're really going to be discovering that even more. But this spiritual master came to me in the breathwork and he said, he showed me a vision of me traveling all over the world with thousands of people reaching up. And I was teaching them breath work and Reiki and light body and movement. And he said, I want you to travel around the world to help all these people to heal and awaken. And I was breathing and I said, I can't. I'm not good enough. I'm just not good enough to do that. I didn't believe I could do that. And he said, okay, fine. I'll go find somebody else. And he walked away. And in that moment of him walking away, I went, wait, this is what I was born for. This is why I'm here. And so he came back, and in my vision, he rolled up his sleeves and he said, then let's get to work. And that was at least 30 years ago. And I have traveled all over the world, reaching thousands of people. And the funny thing is that I didn't know what these hands up were, but I developed something in our work where we're always putting our hands up, we're always offering it up, we're setting it free. And I see now, like, oh, that was all the hands up, was setting ourselves free. So I believe we all have a mission. We all have something that we came here to bring and to do, and that we are needed more than ever right now. You're probably feeling it with this podcast, like the healers, the leaders, the teachers. That's what I call us, the
Mm,
light workers, whatever you want to call us. We are here now. It's
yeah,
2024 to, bring about a massive shift in consciousness. And tools like the breath work and movement and meditation are just vital to liberating us.
absolutely. And oh wow, just eh, your story and hearing that vision and the arms up, the receiving, the putting out into the world. Um, it's so reassuring that there are people like yourself and Dana who are actually in 2024 and who are accessible for people to actually go and learn from yourselves so that they can actually embody the sorry not embody, that's not what I said, vocabulary gone. um
Embodies a good word.
well, to somehow it get those self-care tools that they need to have. And someone said to me the other day, which one do I go for? And I said, no, it's not like that. Actually, it's a bit like you have to go out and you have to just see which of them, suit
Mhm.
you, which resonate. I'm a huge fan of meditation. I love EFT, on my Reiki journey, and I do some sort of my own sort of version of breath work. What makes Clarity Breathwork different from other breathwork
Mm.
practices?
Well, I think that Dana and I have really created a gentle, nourishing, safe, feminine approach to breath work. In a lot of the old breathwork schools, there's a lot of forcing and pushing and going for intensity to the point where people can hyperventilate, people can check out, people can get re-traumatized. Their body can fill up with what's called tetany, a temporary paralysis in the hands and the face, and it can be terrifying. And so Dana and I became aware of that very early on, that in order to heal, we need to slow it down and we need to go gentle, and that it can take us deeper when we slow it down and when
Mm,
we really bring presence and love to each breath that we take. And the amazing thing is that, the system, our human psychological, physical, emotional system, it wants to heal. It wants to come into integration, and it is just waiting for a safe enough space to be able to do that. It won't do it. Just like the baby and coming out of the delivery, the reptilian, the mammalian instinct is, if there is danger, freeze, dissociate, stop. And so if we're pushing and forcing and going for intensity, that can happen. Oh,
mhm,
this is too much. So I think Dana and I, plus, on the spiritual side of things, Dana and I are very aligned with our devotion to that sacred feminine energy, the divine mother energy, which has been written about in, certainly in India for thousands and thousands of years, and in the ancient goddess traditions. And we believe that the earth is alive as a living, breathing aspect of this divine feminine energy. And the amazing thing about clarity breathwork, and I think probably all forms of breathwork, is it is the Mother Earth herself that's breathing us and informing us. And the amazing thing is that, when we teach in Bali, it's that energy of the Balinese and all of their ancient practices. When we teach down in Costa Rica, it's more that native energy and the condor of South America that guides us. And when we teach in Hawaii, it's the Hawaiian energy. So it's the energy of each place that we travel to. And then of course when we're online, we're helping to access the energy and vitality of that place on the earth where students live to heal them. I mean, it's said that every herb we need, every plant we need to heal us is in our own backyard. And breath work for us is a form of plant medicine. We are literally breathing in the plant life around us, but
Mm.
it's not overwhelming us. Many of people find us because they go down to Peru to do ayahuasca and plant medicine. And one of our breathwork practitioners is there leading breathwork. And they realize, oh, they didn't actually come for the ayahuasca. They came for the breathwork because, and there's nothing wrong. I think people that are guided to do medicines like ayahuasca and all the whole pharmacia of amazing plant teachers um, is an amazing path. But for a lot of people, if our nervous systems are really sensitive, we need something more gentle. And clarity breathwork is a way in
Mm.
uh, to incredible reservoirs of healing inside of us and access to guidance. And then we can ask in that space, what is the teaching? What is the tool that I most need? And we'll be given the answer. We are supported. We are not alone in this journey. None of us. I mean, I believe that, we have guides and guardians that are with us from birth that are talking to us. And recently I needed some guidance, and I was going through a time of a little inner turbulence and confusion, and I didn't know what to do. And so I sat down and I called in my guides and I wrote down all my different ideas. And this one idea that I had, just there, I drew a huge arrow, I circled it, and it was so obvious. It was just like, oh, why was I so confused? It's so clear. When I sat down, I asked for help, I asked for guidance. It was crystal clear. And I went forward with it, and it's been incredibly easy and successful and fun and powerful. It's like we don't need to waste time spinning out, and we tend to stay in our minds and we try to weigh it out. Should I do this? Should I do this? Here's the pluses, here's the minuses. Maybe I should do this, but look at this over. And it's all from the mind. And if we can go beyond our mind to a greater awareness, then we can use our mind to gather the information, but our greater awareness can go, this is it. And even, great innovators like Einstein. I mean, he didn't sit there like trying to figure it all. Like he would look at it, and then he would go on these what he called naps, where he would be riding on a beam of light and discover the theory of relativity. It's got to come from a deeper source than the mind.
Yes. Oh, that's, yeah, wonderful. And I I think I love the fact that you're actually sharing with our listeners the fact that so much of our lives where we get just so het up, so focused on like, oh, what do I do? How do I follow this? Should I do that? Whatever. Taking the time to sit back, find the quiet, open yourself up to accepting, receiving, being open to the answers to come to you, and listening to your guides. Um, it's just such a wonderful thing to be sharing. And from your experience, the people that you work with, how long does it take for them to see some progress in terms of
Mm,
healing from either emotional trauma or
right. It
physical?
really depends. It really depends on the person and the life experience and what they've been through. I mean, a lot of times the first breathwork session for most people is the most powerful. I
Mm.
mean, for me, my first breathwork session was epic, and I realized this is the most powerful healing modality I'll ever experience. And I know it was that way for Dana as well. that when she had her first breathwork session, she knew right away, this is the most powerful tool ever. And we've talked to so many people that have felt that, because that first breathwork session just can open the door wide to remembering, who you really are. And then there's the deeper work to do. So that's the little carrot that pulls you in, like, wow, I remember who I am. And then there's the deeper layers of work to unravel all that we've been carrying. And, I am humbled and awed by how much we took on
Mm,
from our parents, from our culture, from our ancestral lineage. We do a lot of ancestral work because these things have been passed on from generation to generation. And part of our healing is to unburden ourselves from the ancestral imprints. I mean, if you can even imagine what they went through, and that's been in our DNA and has been passed on to us, we've got a lot of work to do. So
yeah,
it's not a quick fix. It's a lifelong journey. And as we get, what I've noticed is that, we get to one level and we're like, wow, I have more freedom, I have more ease, and then there's a whole nother level of healing. And so we have to get really good at being willing to face our emotions, our pain, our sorrows, not to get stuck in it. Because by not facing it, we are stuck in it. That's
mm,
the truth. We may
yeah,
not even know what's making us stuck, but if we have the tools and the willingness to keep moving through it, then we're going to keep experiencing greater and greater levels of who we are and what's possible for us to really live.
totally. And one thing that I've had to kind of come to realize over the past few weeks and months is that as much as I had this idea of what healing would look like, healing is not a destination, it's a journey.
That's so true, isn't it? And we have these expectations of what it should look like and where we should be. And I really am a firm believer, and I think Clarity Breathwork is really a wonderful, modality, is loving kindness towards ourselves. That is really the master healer, because I don't know about you, I can speak for myself and my students. Like, we've all just been so hard on ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves. I mean, I saw Pema Chodron, this very famous Buddhist teacher, stand up in front of 3,000 people one time, this little short, humble woman, and say, our biggest problem as human beings is that we are just so hard on ourselves.
Absolutely.
And we expect ourselves, to be, and we judge ourselves for where we are. So, I mean, loving kindness, softening, and being gentle towards ourselves is just a foundation of our healing. And I think the old patriarchal motto is, push yourself, make yourself, force yourself, and it doesn't work. It backfires. And if it's not from loving kindness, it won't stick. So, can we love ourselves exactly where we are, in our pain, in our frustration, in our stuckness, in our hope, in our vision, in our dreams? And then that will open the doors to so much healing coming into our lives through self love, compassion, kindness, no matter what the situation. I mean, we're all going to face so
Mm,
much. And you, like, your story, what I've read about it is just incredible story. And look at you here today. It's just, it's phenomenal. And so to love ourselves all along the way, I think that's the main medicine.
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Loving and kindness, the foundations of healing. I think that is something that if more people knew, it would just be so powerful. From my own experience and that of some of the people I know, often when you get an illness or a disease diagnosis, there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of shame, there's resentment, and something that I've come to actually realize actually has been the biggest challenge for myself is that it wasn't learning, it wasn't getting through the operation, it wasn't actually the recovery, it wasn't any of the things to do with the medication. it's been learning to love myself, to actually give myself the time and the space to actually have some self-worth and self-confidence in my abilities, and to understand that we all have imposter syndrome once in a while, if not a lot of the
Absolutely.
time. Um,
Right.
but actually, be kind to yourself. Be the friend that you wish or you have in your life that
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
in terms of the breathing, the hugging, the touch, the feel,
Mm.
the taking time out to do self-care, and I think often, especially if you're ill, you know, maybe you're short of money, you're short of time, you're short of energy, but even just pausing for a second, whatever you're doing, and going, okay, how do I feel right now? Do I need water? Do I need music? Do I need a bit of air? Shall open the window, step
Mm.
outside? Do I need to pet my dog, my
Mm.
cat?
Mm.
Just taking the time to just grab back those moments and feel, actually feel how you're feeling and listen to your body is massive.
It
And
is a massive practice. Yeah. And with an illness like that, it's like you're forced to, in a
mm,
way. You're forced to slow it down. You're forced to really listen, and those that don't have that illness, they can keep going and going and pushing, but inevitably something is going to happen
mm,
that's going to be a wake-up call, whether it's an illness or a divorce or a bankruptcy or a loss, something, or a climate crisis.
yes,
Something is going to wake us up to finally come into this present moment and love ourselves. Truly love. Like, what would the world be like if we all loved ourselves and we loved the earth? We wouldn't be able to destroy it. We wouldn't be able to destroy ourselves. So it's really the greatest practice of all. And we are love. We know that in many of the near death experiences that I've read, and I've been fascinated in it because I want to know what happens. We want to know what happens, is an experience of incredible unconditional love and a recognition that we are love. So why wait until we die to
mm,
remember that we are love and start caring for each other and caring for the environment and caring for the earth and caring for the children of our future and having compassionate care for those that are passing and those that are going through health challenges.
yeah, no. I think that is the way that we need to move forward, and hopefully that is the way we
And a
will.
lot of times it's not kind. A lot of times the medical world is not
No.
kind or compassionate. They're overwhelmed, can't, deal with it. So bringing in that kindness is essential.
Yes, and often the medical world, I suppose we the patient go searching for the answers, but when there are a diagnosis and diagnoses, whatever being created or coming into existence on a moment by moment basis, there's different combinations of symptoms and things happen to people. It again comes back to this idea of actually what can you as the individual do to actually help the body go into I think it's parasympathetic state of actually calmness, of rest and digest, and letting the organs and everything else do what they need to do. Because when you're in that panicky sort of
Fight or
thing, like,
flight.
yeah, fight or
Hmm.
flight, and
Or
oh God,
freeze.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the hospitals are scary, scary places. You know, when you go into them, you're hoping that you'll be fixed or something will be patched up or you'll get a diagnosis or the medication to help you. But more and more, I think people are realizing that actually medications come with their own side effects. Some things, yes, might get better, but I mean, I have a reoccurring like lump on my leg, and I take the medication and I put the cream on it, but I know that actually it's something else. It's
Right. Something deeper. Right.
absolutely. It's something that's actually a root inside me that I need to deal with before it will stop being
Mhm.
suspicious, so to speak.
Mhm. There are
Um,
so many incredible stories about miraculous healing. But I wanted you to finish that because you had a thought there, and then I'll tell
oh,
you.
no, 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 please continue.
Okay. Okay. There's this woman. She was diagnosed, I think now 20 years ago, I mean, I know so many stories. I just heard another one the other night on New Year's Eve as well. But this one from 20 years ago, she was diagnosed with stage 4 metastasized lung cancer. These are two cases I just heard of. And she didn't want to die. She had grandchildren, she's just like, I don't want to die. And spirit led her to wheatgrass, which is an amazing cure. This is down at Optimum Health Institute, San Diego. She ended up going there and transforming her. They work on the mind, on, where are you putting your mind? What are you thinking? They work on the feelings. Where are you putting your attention in your feelings? What's unresolved? And then they work with the diet, and this wheatgrass juice, like this fountain of health. And so many people, in fact, when you go to this place, they have a testimonial day where people get up and tell these stories. You can hear hours of these stories of people that healed from all kinds of, uh, you know, diagnoses that corrected it. And then I just heard a story the other night about a woman who her father-in-law, I think he was diagnosed with stage 4 bone cancer. So she went there for the holidays and she said, "Okay, Dad, what do you want to do? Do you want to do the Western and go through chemo and radiation, or do you want to try this alternative?" And he was like, "I'm in. Let's do the alternative." She spent 2 months with him. She's like a genius. I mean, mistletoe injections, doTERRA oils, high vitamin C IV infusions, like all these things. Within 2 months, no cancer. I mean, this is just like a phenomenal story. But there are stories like this happening
Yeah.
all over the place. And it doesn't mean for me, I don't at all want to dismiss Western medicine. I think there's great value in Western medicine, but it needs to be a holistic approach.
Yes.
It needs to include all of us because illness doesn't just occur at the physical level. It occurs mentally, emotionally. It's the environment around us. It's what we're swimming in right now with all the chemicals and all the EMFs. It needs to take place on many levels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing those stories because, again, it's one of those things where so many years ago we just thought, oh, you get cancer, you go down this pathway, and the books, the podcasts, the videos, the shows, everything that is actually now providing people opportunities to see that there are alternatives. And a huge amount of it will come down to actually your attitude. If you go to these things and you want to heal and you believe you will heal, but
Yeah.
actually taking the first step and being interested and being open to receiving this information is just huge. So,
It's huge, and I just wanna say for all of you too that have maybe tried everything and you're like, "Well, it didn't work for me," like, I just wanna send you my love and my care because I can understand that would feel like, "Well, it happened for these other people, but not for me," is there there must still be work for you to do, and, I have had several clients that have gone through cancers, and I supported them all the way to their death experience. And then I supported them after death. They came to me. One of them I had to do his memorial at this beautiful Napa Opera House. He was such a well-loved person, and he came to me and downloaded what he wanted to say in his memorial. I mean, it was so him, and the audience, the people that knew him were just, the jaw was dropped. Like, "How did you do that?" I said, "Well, he came to me and he told me what he wanted to say." Or I have another friend who chose to leave recently, was approved for the medication. You can do that here in Hawaii because there was really no hope. She had tried everything and it was really the end. And she decided for herself that it's time, that I've completed everything that I need to do. And I also got asked to do her memorial, and she also came through and shared that she wanted to present another option. Instead of suffering and getting to the very end where you're suffering, she took matters in her own hands.
mm,
And it was such an uplifting and incredible memorial because her energy. So there's no right or wrong. And death isn't wrong. And sickness isn't wrong.
mm,
And having a miracle and being the exception um, is wonderful without any survivor's guilt. It's wherever we are, loving that, embracing that, and then seeing what is it that wants to unfold. And for you, what is wanting to unfold through you is this service through
Mm.
going through what you've gone through. So thank you, for your commitment, and because it'd be very easy to give up. And I just want to say to all of us, myself included, don't give up.
No.
Just don't give up. Keep opening to the blessing, to the grace, to the support, to the love that is here and will be here all the way through, no matter what's appearing, no matter what's happening.
Gosh, that's just so, so beautiful and so, so
Mm.
true. And well,
It's so wonderful to talk to you. I have a
oh,
feeling that we could go on for
yeah,
hours.
I feel that we've only just scraped the top of everything and I hope that this is just the first of hopefully our continued communication because you are,
I would love to talk to you. It's very inspiring what's
well,
happening here.
yeah, absolutely. And so I think that time is short, since
Yes.
busy, busy, busy person. So, would you like to share how people can find you? And then,
Yes,
what
yes.
you're,
Please come visit us. We are at claritybreathwork.com. You can download one of our free meditations on activating true abundance, and you can join us for free events. We have a lot of free events that you can come join, or you could sign up for our course. You could join us in Bali, Costa Rica, Europe. We'd love to have you. We also have a Clarity Breathwork Facebook community, and of course, we're on Instagram at clarity.breathwork. So we'd love to welcome you if you feel called. And Lucinda, I just really want to thank you for your journey and for your light. It's so bright, so brilliant, and for all these people that are tuning in.
oh, it's just been a truly, truly enlightening and wonderful experience having this conversation with you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and hopefully we will talk again soon.
Wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you, everyone.